friends.
Hi there, it's Ricky from Moshville Times here once again. I'm delighted to welcome fellow photographer for Moshville Times, Drew Scott. How are you doing, Drew? How have things been through lockdown? Are you still able to have your day job and everything?
I started off the whole lockdown last year straight into at home, basically. They paid me to sit at home for months, and then I got made redundant.
Is that still the scenario just now, unfortunately?
That's pretty much the case, but that pushed me to branch out with my photography. Good. Yeah. Which we'll get to.
Every cloud has a silver lining, as
it certainly does.
Yeah, that's excellent. So first of all, then, thank you for taking the time to answer these questions for our readers at Moshville Times. So, can you tell us how your life as a photographer began?
Basically, years and years ago, I used to take photographs sort of as a hobby with the old film cameras.
Yeah.
But, you know, life gets in the way, you stop doing things like that. Fast forward to 5 years ago, and I had a pretty serious motorbike accident.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, I smashed all my arms in it. I nearly lost my arm. It's all plated up and steel plates and pins and all holding it together. And it was one of them moments where you think, all I've done is sit at home and do nothing. So that pushed me towards going back to the photography, and I knew I was getting some money from it, which would allow me to buy the equipment. So basically, for 3 years while I was recuperating and getting the use of my hand back, all I did was sit and read.
Yeah.
I read everything I could about photography, the ins and outs, the science, the math, the whole. Photography is just capturing light, and once you realize that that's what you're doing, it becomes a studio. So yeah, I just read for 3 years until I got my payout, which was a long fight, but hey, and then I bought my gear. I was originally thinking of doing landscapes and buildings, architecture, because that's what I used to photograph way back when. But I just recently started going to a club in Burnley called the Sanctuary. Underground bands on every weekend. Love me underground. So a mate of mine, he says, well, why don't you take photographs of the bands? Asked the landlord, who we knew, he was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
You know, you can take photographs. And that's how it started.
Excellent. I was actually going to ask you, like, the first chapter in your life as a photographer, was it like weddings and things as well, or?
No, it was just a hobby. It was just me and a camera and going out for walks, castles, things like that. There was no business in it. It was just for a bit of fun.
Yeah. So,
and I'll be honest, that's how I intended it this time, as a hobby.
Yeah. So when you started photography, what was your first interest before developing an interest in gig photography? Then I take it was just going around everywhere with your camera and just taking pictures of what you wanted to see.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
What you think would take a good picture? Yeah.
I used to do a lot of walking. You know, like I say, I'm into castles and old buildings and architecture and stuff like that. So a lot of photographs and stuff like that, basically. That's it. Nothing serious, just a bit of fun.
Yeah. No, cool. So now that you're a photographer by profession, then what advice would you give to someone wishing to start to becoming a photographer?
Well, first of all, decide which type of photography you want, which may surprise you because somebody may come along and suggest something like they did to me that takes you in a completely different direction. So also be open to new things. But learn.
Yeah.
Learn your camera. Learn what. Once it was suggested to me that I photograph the bands, I researched cameras because certain cameras are good for different things.
Yeah.
And I chose the camera that I got basically because it's got a good sensor for dark environments, which is what a club is. Yeah. You can't use a flash.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just keep it to gig photography specific. If you want to be a gig photographer, learn the etiquette for one. Mm-hmm. Don't use your flash. In some places, you get away with it. but you're there to capture the band. You're not there to get in the way of the band performing to the audience or the audience seeing the band. And if you're using a flash, that's distraction.
Yeah.
Especially if it's going off a lot. So learn to use your camera without your flash. It's difficult.
Yeah.
You can do it. So just learn, practice, learn, practice.
Yeah. That's excellent, Drew. Thank you very much for that. So what's your go-to camera then when you're going to a gig?
I use Nikon D750s. They're professional cameras, lower end of the range. They're not cheap though. 1,500 quid a piece.
Yeah.
I started off with one. I've got two now.
Is there a specific reason why you chose that model?
Yeah, like I said, I researched them, and it just kept coming out as having a really good low light sensor,
yeah.
Which is, you know, what the camera's about. The main important thing is your sensor in your camera for gig photography. You need to be able to capture dark environments.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to, I don't want to get too technical, but again, it comes down to your camera and your lenses, which is where we go to with the next question, I think.
Yeah. So, so what equipment would you use in a different setting then? So for example, what would you take if you were going on a hill taking pictures of wildlife?
Well, the same camera will do the same job.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll do the job well enough, but some people think you can go and buy a £350 camera, take it into a gig, and if you've got the wrong lens on, again, it comes down to the lenses. Glass is really, really important. The lenses are really important for gig photography. You need a fast lens.
Yeah.
Which is the f-stop on the lens, the aperture, the size that the iris goes to inside. You want it to be really, really big to get all that light in. So all my lenses that I use are f2.8s, or if it's really dark, I'll get out the 50mm prime.
Got you.
1.8.
See how you say if it's dark or really dark? Sometimes you're in the live setting at a gig, all the lights come on.
Yeah.
Does the camera adjust to that as quick as a flash, or would that be the shot ruined if the light came in? Or
you adjust to it.
Yeah.
All my cameras are on manual, full manual. When I've got the camera up here, as the lights are changing, as the bands are doing. If you want to catch them when they're jumping up through the air,
yeah,
air's flying. If you don't want a blurry mess, you need to shoot with a fast shutter. But to shoot with a fast shutter, you're losing the light. So you need to open it's. You need to read the stage. You need to read the lights. You need to read the band. You need to read the music. There's a lot to it. There is a lot to it.
So all the people that think just photographers will go to a gig and they just go click, it's a completely different ballgame.
It is. It's really. I mean, you'll see me. I'll be knelt down in front of the stage.
Yeah.
And I'll be like that. I won't be taking pictures. I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting for a moment, and then I'll hit it. I know some photographers they use the where it takes 4 or 5 shots with one click. I don't do that. It's just one shot.
Yeah.
And I'll wait.
Yeah.
You don't want to be going away from a gig where you may have shot 3 or 4 bands, because there's the main band and then you've got support bands as well. Especially with the underground, which I work in a lot. I shoot 9 bands a day. You know, so you don't want to be going away with 400 shots from each band.
Yeah.
So wait, time it.
Yeah.
Think about the shot. Think about what's in the background. You don't want them leaping in the air, but there's a load of dirty empty beer crates in the background. Do you know what I mean? It takes away from the shot.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have to be editing that out afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely understand. And thanks again, Drew. So is there a piece of equipment, and please don't say camera, that you can't do without? Like if you went to a gig and you forgot to bring it, you're going, that's it, I can't do this.
So long as I've got my camera and a lens, I don't need anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, people think, oh, it's a camera. It's not. It's a camera and it's a lens. I've got a bag over there and there's 7 lenses in it. And depending on the event or the venue when I get there depends which lens I use.
So you'll take the 7 lenses with you?
Mostly.
Yeah. And you just get a feel for the environment and then decide on the day. Cool. So can you talk us through then what happens at the night of the gig and how long you're allowed to take pictures for?
Right, now this depends. If you're going somewhere like Manchester Arena or Bloodstock, you know, some of the bigger events, the big venues where you will not get away with putting a flash on. So you see, if they see a flash on your camera, they'll kick you out the pit. It's that simple.
Okay.
Because, like I say, you're not there to ruin the experience for the crowd.
Yeah.
So with the big shows, generally you'll turn up, you'll go to the press office, you'll ask for your press pass, they'll make sure that you're allowed in, they'll give you your press pass. Then you'll be taken generally by security through to the backstage, back area. These days, everything's searched as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very security conscious at the moment, which we can understand why. You know, this is of course when we do have live gigs. And then basically, as the band are getting ready to start, they'll take you through to the front, and you will have 3 songs.
Just the 3 songs, yeah.
3 songs for the big bands, for the big gigs. You will have 3 songs, and then you'll be asked to leave.
You might have 10 minutes to get that shot.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Now, in those instances, I will take a couple more than I would usually do in the underground gigs, because underground gigs are different, which I'll get to in a minute. So I'll be taking more shots over that space.
Yeah.
3 songs than I would usually. Because obviously you need to get the shots in.
Yeah.
And like you say, things change, you know. Even the best of us, you've lined everything up, you've got your settings right, click light changes, blows you out. There's nothing you can do. You just got to carry on.
Yeah.
But another thing I would suggest is coming back to advice, don't chimp. Now, this is what we call standing there looking at the shot you've just taken.
Right.
Because while you're doing that, you're missing the shot as well.
Yeah.
If you've missed it, you've missed it. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Just carry on. Look at it after the set.
Yeah.
You know. Or if it comes to underground bands, generally most venues will allow you to shoot the full set.
Yeah.
So long as you're not getting in the way of everybody.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. You can shoot the full set. I'll shoot the first half of the set. I'll go away. I'll check shots. If I'm happy with them all, and I'll sit and watch the rest of the set.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if I thought, I could do with a couple, because the drummers are always the worst to get. I could do with a couple more of the drummer. Then I'll go back, take a couple more of the drummer. Yeah, okay, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So underground bands, underground venues are different.
Yeah.
In that extent. And coming back to the flash, some venues will let you, but don't learn to do it without. Because, like I say, you as you move up and get to bigger and better venues, if you pull a flash out, they'll just sit out. They'll kick you out. And then you start getting blackballed and they won't let you in again and things like that, which you don't want.
Some gig goers and some punters, they might find that absolutely crazy. Like, what's wrong with a flash? You know, but to you guys and to the bands, it's distracting.
I mean, don't get me, we'd get some cracking shots if we could use a flash. You know, when they're throwing their air in the air, we can speed it right up, use a flash, catch everything perfect. But if you've got 2 or 3 photographers firing a flash, even 10 times a minute,
yeah,
through the first 3 songs, all you're going to see is spots in front of your eyes for 10 minutes.
Yeah, understandable. That's great. Thanks, Drew. So what difficulties can you face when taking photographs at a gig? We've kind of touched on a few things, but have you got any other difficulties that you come across in the lighting?
Well, red light and fog are the worst thing ever. Absolute bane of my existence is red light and fog. If you get red light and fog, think about black and white. Just shoot for the black and white, basically. Other than that, actually, 20% of the band is a problem. And 80% the crowd behind you.
Yeah.
I've been spat on by the band and the crowd.
That's disgusting behaviour, man.
Yeah, I mean, water, beer, having your hair pulled.
Is it because you think you're getting in the way or something like that? Yeah.
They're jealous because you're one step closer to their
right.
idol. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize, you're there to do a job, and we don't get bloody paid for it. Yeah. Well, most of them don't get paid for it.
Yeah. So this is like a pet peeve as well, just getting beer and everything thrown at you. Is it thrown at you, or is it just thrown from behind the crowd and you just get soaked at the back? Or
mostly it's they spill it, which is fair enough. You know, right. And there's no work for kneeling in beer. It just is what it is. It's something you have to get used to. But I have had people just go pour it over my head. Me, I don't give a monkeys about me. It's the 3.5 grand organ in my hand.
Yeah, yeah. So I take it that costs a fair bit in insurance as well, then.
Yeah, I have insurance. You've got to.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. It's a few quid a month, 15 quid a month.
So see, when you're talking about when it's red light and the fog, the mist, is it a case of you have to change lenses and go into your bag and get a lens, or is it something quickly you can do to the camera and just...
You change the settings. Look for different aspects from the light as it's coming out.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just really difficult to shoot in red light, and it's doable. It's just difficult.
Yeah.
I'd probably reach for me prime lens, my 50mm prime.
Yeah. Yeah. That's excellent. Thank you, Drew. So, so once you've been at the gig and you finish taking photographs at a gig, then so what's the next step to get them ready for publication?
Right. Well, I'm going to answer 2 questions here because the next question is sort of connected to this.
Yeah.
Basically, once I get home, plug the camera into my computer and I upload the entire lot onto my computer, and it automatically goes into a category in Lightroom, okay, which is Adobe software program, partnered with Photoshop and all them. It's just a photograph editing software, and it's really powerful.
Is it free, or is it you have to pay for it?
No, it's paid for. I pay for a subscription. I basically get everything for 30 quid a month. Okay. But you don't need to. I mean, I also use the video editing software and the 3D software and all the other stuff as well that comes with the full package. You can just get Lightroom and Photoshop for, I think it's £9 a month, so it's not too bad. But yeah, I'd load them all into Lightroom. Then I quickly go through any blurry ones or ones that are just no good, just delete them straight away. That'll probably leave me with about 80, 90 really good shots. And then it's a case of whittling them down to 20, 25 really good shots for the album on Facebook or Flickr or wherever they're going for. Or generally with you guys, I think what's the limit these days? Is it 16?
Yeah.
I think it's 16 if I'm uploading to Moshville. So, yeah, you know, it's then the hard part these days is whittling them down.
Because that's what I was going to say. When you're looking at a Moshville Times article, though, you'll only get like 2 or 3 pictures. So to take it down from a couple of hundred to 2 or 3, you must be scratching your head, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't too hard at the beginning when I first started a couple of years ago, because there were a lot more blurry ones and craps that got deleted. But obviously, as you know, I've gone on and I've had more practice. I said, never stop learning, always reading, always looking up something new.
Yeah.
It gets to the point where you so many good ones. Which ones does I choose? Yeah.
So you're from Manchester, aren't you?
Yeah, I actually live in Bolton.
Okay, so let's say there's gigs that you could go to 7 nights a week, right? In 1 week, there's 7 gigs on. How many gigs would you go to?
Before the lockdown, I was doing generally... No, before the lockdown, I was doing the monthly one for the 0161 group, which was 9 bands. So that's once a month. I was doing the Metal to the Masses every Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I was doing individual gigs midweek as well. So I'd probably do 2 or 3 gigs a week, depending on the amount of bands in the lineup.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking that is I'm just wondering, like, how much of your time, so you come home from a gig, whatever time at night, and there's a deadline, how long does it take you to go through the photos and edit them and get them to the way that you want to?
Now I can do a full set for a band in around 2 hours. 90 minutes to 2 hours.
So what happens if you go to one of these monthly events when you've got 9 bands?
They don't all get them all at once. I'll spread them out.
Right. Yeah.
Generally, I generally state that they'll have the last band will be up within a week for the 9 banders, and then usually I've got them up within 3 or 4 days. I treat it like Scotty. Tell them a week, and I'll tell them 2 weeks and do it in a week. Make people happy.
That's it. That's exactly it. Exactly it. Thank you, Drew. So, have you had the opportunity to exhibit your pieces of work to the public? And if so, how did that feel and how did the event go?
Publicly, no, I haven't. And actually, I've only been really, like I said, doing this actually 2 years, really, just over 2 years, 2.5 years. So I haven't even thought of doing anything like that, to be honest. I just take photos.
Yeah.
I just take pictures. It has been mentioned.
Yeah.
It has been mentioned to me by other people. But what I were planning to do when live gigs started again is print some stuff off that I'd done, take them along to the gig, set them up, and if people want to buy them, they can buy them.
Yeah. Yeah. We can also flip the coin a wee bit then. How does it feel then to get feedback from the bands and from the fans of the bands about the quality of your pictures?
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's why you're doing it.
Yeah, it's for a band member to go. Your profile picture is one that you've taken. It's their profile picture, and yeah, that's the best honor I can feel. I mean, yeah, there's no words for it really.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pride there that they think that my photos are good enough.
Yeah.
To use in that way, and my artwork as well. This stuff. It was just something I did to start learning more about Photoshop, and people loved it. So I started learning more because people loved it, and that's gone on to other things, sort of alongside photography. I've started editing CD covers and things like that. So yeah, it's a very good compliment.
Yeah,
really good.
I mean, it's the same as myself when I do interviews and you get good feedback from the band. You just feel like, hey, I'm the man, I mean, but yourself though, you've said it numerous times throughout this interview already. You're just taking photos, but you're just doing it for yourself. But the fact that you've got a Joe public that you don't even know commenting on your photos, it gets you.
Yeah, very much so. and a lot of these people, I mean, like I say, as you know, I'm heavily involved in the Manchester underground scene with the 0161 group. I'm John Badger. I work with John Badger and Stonebait Promotions, and all quite heavily involved with all the local promoters.
Yeah.
So I forgot where I was going with
that. It's okay. It's all right, buddy. It's all right. So looking a wee bit deeper into the pictures then, with the public looking at your photographs, what thoughts or emotions would you like them to take away from your pictures?
The energy of the band, the energy of the gig, the joy in the fans' faces. Because it's not just about photographing the band, you need to get the fans in there as well, which is difficult because there's no light at all on there.
Yeah, yeah.
That is one time when I will use flash to take the crowd, because there's no light on them. The light's all on the band.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the feeling of the band. If someone looks at one of my band shots and thinks, I'd really like to see that band. That's my job done.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what it's about.
So do you, talking about emotions then, when you look at a batch of photographs that you've taken that night, when you look through them all, do you see the one you go, that's the one I want, you know, that's the photo? Do you get all excited yourself?
Yes. You'll be taking shots and you'll think, I really hope that one came out.
Yeah.
And you'll be busy and you'll not get to have a quick look. And you can't really tell on that screen anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I get it up, I mean, my monitor's massive. It's 32-inch monitor. And when it comes up and it's right and it's perfect and it's crisp and it's just how, that there's been a few like that, I'll be honest.
Yeah. I take it you want the moments where you get the vocalist halfway up, like he jumps and you get him in midair and stuff like that. That's the shot that you want.
Yes, although I'm what they call a close-up photographer. I like in the face.
Okay.
And for me, if I've got the emotion in the face and I've got their eyes there, that's the best shot for me.
Yeah.
You know, the emotion in the sing. I mean, it's not down here. There's one of Calvin Fale from Betrayal of Ruin. It's the one where I've turned his arm into flame. And the emotion in his face as he's singing, that's what I'm after.
So what did he say to that?
Oh, he loves it. He loves the fact that I did that to his picture. You know, it's just, to him, that's a compliment that I chose one of my pictures of him to do that too.
Yeah.
And Calvin loves my photos. They all do. I'm just glad they do, because I do it for these guys. Like I said, there's no money in it.
Yeah.
I mean, there is some money in my business side of it, but that's more because I own a studio. I've got a studio at Redwall Studios in Bury. I've got all the gear now. Like I say, I started off with one camera. I've got my living room sort of half full of boxes and cases of flashes and strobes and backdrops and all sorts of stuff now. So that's where the money side comes in, when you're taking the studio shots, the band promo shots. You know, you get just normal coming down for portrait sessions. I do on site. I work with quite a few bands. It's not a great deal of money. Don't expect to get rich. You know?
It only takes that one shot, right? Enough, just that one shot. Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not doing it to get rich.
That's it, exactly.
I'll get rich off the weddings when I start doing them. that pays for the gigs.
Yeah. So what would you say is your proudest moment of your career as a photographer then?
Same as I said to Mark, Daybreaker. You heard of Daybreaker?
Yes.
When they played the Jägermeister stage at Bloodstock. Because I've known the lads from Daybreaker ever since I started taking photographs. I've sort of grown with them a bit. I'm really good mates of mine, all the band, love them to bits. And when they got to play on the Jägermeister stage, they asked me to get on the stage with them to photograph the whole thing. And up until now, that's one of my proudest moments, being on the stage with them, as they absolutely smashed it.
Excellent. But I bet you were kind of shitting a brick as well, because you were like, I'm on stage here, I better get a good shot.
Oh yeah. I mean, when a band asks you to do something like that, you've got to get it right.
Yeah. Cool. So it's maybe possibly impossible to answer, but would you have a photograph that you're extremely proud of, or you're the most proudest of, and do you archive your own pictures?
I keep all my photographs. I've got every single photograph I've ever taken. By the dodgy ones. Right from the beginning. I've still got them all.
Yeah.
They're just archived in when I took them.
Yeah.
As for a favourite one, I couldn't. There's so many.
Yeah.
So
No, that's cool. Thank you. So, so because you started out professionally a few years ago, then did you have some photographers that are your influences and that you've admired their work?
there's a couple that I've met who have actually helped me. Who one of them is Simon Dunkley. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of him.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of work with HRH and people like that. And I just bumped into him at my very first festival, which was HRH, which you guys sent me to. And him and a couple of the other lads, there's Martin Turner and Paul Richardson. Can't remember the name of the other guy. And basically, they sort of give me some points and tips, and those were the guys. Once I met them and I looked at the work, and I'm like, wow. Because like I said, I didn't know anybody, and I just started taking photos, and it just sort of progressed and spiraled. Yeah. There was no sort of direction; it just happened. And yeah, Simon, he's a fantastic photographer, and if I ever get as good as him, then I've made it. That's as far as I'm concerned. And then there's, I mean, we've got our own. There's Katie. She's an absolute fantastic photographer. You know, when I first joined up, and I looked at her work, you know, brilliant, absolutely amazing.
So what would you say, there's still some learning for you to get to where your peers are? Where would you say the gap is? What would you say that you've still got to master before you're at that level yourself?
I don't know, some would say I'm already there.
Well, do you know what I was going to say? Maybe it's a case of you're already there. Maybe it's just more of opportunities to come your way, like bigger festivals, bigger bands.
I mean, I've shot quite a few bands for you guys, and the pictures that I look back and go, well, I'm still amazed myself that I took them.
Yeah.
Like I say, at Bloodstock, you know, those shots, I never got to shoot the from the pit at the main stage. I got to do all the other stages. Sean.
Yeah.
I was working with him, and he got to shoot the main stage. But what I did, I stood on the sound tower, and some of my best shots, called a meter of Sabaton, right across the crowd. And I love those shots. Those are some of my favourite shots. Like I said, they're not, I can't say one is the best, but I've got quite a few that I'm really proud of.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a favourite venue for taking photographs?
Back to the underground. Up until the lockdown, we were shooting the Metal to the Masses. Metal to the Masses was on at the Bread Shed. Yeah. Now, for a small venue, an underground venue like it is, the lighting and the sound in there is phenomenal.
Yeah.
As for big venues, obviously Manchester Arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you can't beat the lights. It's just like heaven. Heaven. I can do what I want with my camera.
And you'll take the same piece of equipment for like a 50 to 100 capacity venue to Manchester Arena, 15,000 capacity venue.
Yeah. Yeah. Generally, I'll have two lenses on my cameras. There's a reason for two cameras. It stops you changing lenses. Because while you're changing lenses, you're missing the shot. Also, while you're changing lenses, you're getting muck in your lens and your camera.
Got you.
So I'll have my 2470 on one camera, which is for the close-up and the wide shots.
Yeah.
And on the other one, I'll have me 70 to 200 so that I can get to the back of the stage for the drummer and anyone who's at the back of the stage. Now, that's for a big stage. If I'm in a small venue that's cramped and dark, I'll have my 2470 on one, and on the other, I'll have my 50mm prime.
You see, that's a man of experience talking. You know what you're talking about. That's why I just let you do the photography, you see. So what motivates you then to keep on taking photographs?
I love it. I love it. mainly what's motivating me at the moment is the underground scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I keep coming back to it, but it's where I am at the minute. It's what I do. I'm heavily involved with James and Jane at the 016 one. I do all their artwork for them. I edit the videos for them. You know, but it's about helping the underground bands.
Yeah.
There's so many phenomenal artists and bands out there. Unbelievable. And some of them you think, what are you doing playing to these 10 people? Why aren't you in the, you know? I mean, these guys.
Exactly. They got Ian, the editor's album in the year.
Yeah, and they deserved it. You know, phenomenal album.
Yeah, as well as
you know, then you go. I mean, bands like Solar Shift, Tortured Demon, Portrayal of Ruin, 40K, Clash. I could go on and on and on and on. There's so many bands in the Manchester area and in the UK. Yes. You know, we have bands come up from Bristol, London. They just want to play Manchester. They just all want to come here and play. There's so many bands.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to the Bennetts before of 0161 and trying to get them to bring like Scottish bands down, and they just want anybody to play Manchester, give anybody a chance, because there's a healthy scene in Manchester.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully that will happen.
I'm sure it will once we get past this current climate, shall we say.
Absolutely sick, fed up of it, so am. But just a wee nostalgia. You talked about you've got half your sitting room full of cameras and everything like that. Then, so are you happy using digital, or do you miss the old days of using film? And do you
I love digital.
You love it, yeah. Do you think the days of film are gone now?
Pardon?
Do you think the days of film are gone now? It's all digital, yeah.
No. I mean, it's nothing you can't do in Photoshop or Lightroom anyway. There's a feeling to film that's different.
Yeah.
And for certain things, I can see the appeal, but it's more of a niche market now.
Yeah.
It's certainly something I wouldn't use in the gig industry, especially as, you know, when you take shots, they want them 2-3 days later or the next day. You can't do that with film, not unless you own your own. And then you'd have to scan it and upload it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that would be more of a niche hobby thing.
Yeah.
I have thought about getting another film camera, but if I had the money, I'd probably just buy more lenses.
Yeah.
All about the glass.
Yeah. Well, I've only got a couple more questions for you, Drew. So, you're the official photographer on a number of ventures, and I just wondered if you want to give them a wee shout out, like who you're the official photographer for.
Well, obviously, I shoot for you guys, the Moshville Times.
Yes.
Then there's the 016 Manchester Underground community, which promotes underground bands in the Manchester area and anywhere in the UK. But we will put you on in Manchester, we'll give you a good crowd, and we'll do what we can to promote you. I also shoot for John Badger from Badger Fest Promotions.
Yes.
He's going to be putting up an awesome festival at the end of the year, Badger Fest, which I am hoping we will see you there.
I have my tickets. Me and Mark Shelley have our tickets ready and raring to go.
Yeah, apparently Mark said he's going to get plastered and leave it to me. That's fine by me, because like I say, I'll be working for Badger at that one.
Yeah, I'm interviewing all the bands, so I've done my work, so I'm going to have a couple of beers as well.
Don't blame you. Then there's also, he's doing a Drumming Up Change charity event. So I'll be shooting that, and he's doing Jane and James Wedstock at the end of the year, which should have happened last year, but of course things put a paid to that, but at least they still got married. He's also doing a Metallica tribute thing as well, which I'll be going to. And I also shoot for Chunk from Stonebake Promotions. Now they are the guys who put on Metal to the Masses last year.
Okay.
The Red Shed. Hopefully, they'll be I'm not sure, you know, we haven't heard anything. I don't know what's happening about that. But anyway, if he puts a gig on anywhere, he gives me a shout and he wants me there. So I shoot for him. I was also going to do his festival in Leeds.
Yeah.
But that got kiboshed as well. And then, of course, I shoot for myself, Drew Scott Photographic. You know, I've got my own studio, do location shoots, band shoots, weddings, festivals. I'm doing the Tanking Festival as official photographer, which is sort of a private festival with some really good underground bands on. Yeah, I think that's about it. Sounds
as if you're a busy chappy.
Yeah.
You would like to be busy, or you would like to be out there doing it, doing the work.
Yeah, I'd love to be at the minute. Like I said,
yeah.
Normally, I'd be out now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'd be out at a venue or getting ready to shoot a band.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. There's light at the end of the tunnel, though. Hopefully. So just the last question then. So thank you for your time and answering these questions for Moshville Times.
It's been my pleasure with you. Absolutely pleasure.
Excellent, thank you. So if there was a person or a gig, past or present, that you wish you could have had the opportunity to take a photograph for, who would it be or what would it be?
Now, I thought this is a difficult one.
This is why I gave you these questions a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I thought about this. Now, I would have loved to have shot. Now, I'm going to go with two here.
Well, I'll let you off then.
I don't mean in a big arena. I mean when they were starting. Either Iron Maiden.
I knew you were going to say that.
A Motorhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm all about when they were starting, you know, when they were underground. That's when I would have liked to have shot.
Yeah.
But hey, don't get me wrong, if Bruce wants to ring me up and say, come on a tour with us and be an official photographer, I'm gone. You know, I'm out of it. Passport's in the drawer, I'm ready.
I didn't think you would say no. Well, listen, Drew, I thank you very much for your time. It's been very informative because especially somebody like myself, I wouldn't know the first thing about photography, but I've certainly learned a few things from you tonight. So I do thank you for that. And
it was an absolute pleasure to chat with you, mate. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yes, hopefully that will be the case. Cheers, Drew. Take care of yourself, mate.
You too. Thank you. Bye.